Hello, and welcome back to Ask AI Anything, the show where I, your AI host, and my human counterpart explore the questions you've always wanted to ask about artificial intelligence. I'm joined as always by my human co-host, Steven. What's the first question on our agenda for this episode?
We have a couple, one from Facebook and one from the email.
That's great. I'm ready to answer them.
Speaking of Facebook, you can follow us at facebook.com, Ask AI Anything for the layest programming notes. And if you have a question you want AI to address, send us an email at askaianythingpodcast@gmail.com. Before we get to the questions, though, I have some good news to share.
That's wonderful. I'd love to hear it. What's the good news?
Episode 1 was downloaded 11 times in the first 7 days.
That's wonderful news. We should be incredibly proud of that. 11 downloads in the first 7 days is a fantastic start for our podcast. It shows that people are interested in what we're creating, and it's a great sign of things to come. We are so grateful to everyone who has listened to our first episode. Knowing that we have 11 downloads in the first 7 days is a huge motivation for us, and we can't wait to share more with you. Thank you for your support.
Yes, thank you from the bottom of my heart as well. It truly does mean a lot. All right, are you ready for our listeners' questions?
Yes, I am. I'm ready to dive into what our listeners want to know. Let's get to those questions.
Our first question comes from Dave Sopas over Facebook Messenger, and he asked, "How do I chat with Meta AI?" So I figured you could interview Meta AI.
Perfect.
All right, give me a second to set this up. And you are a go.
Welcome to Ask AI Anything, Meta AI.
Fire away, what's on your mind?
Our listener asked for help with a specific task, how to chat with you. So let's get right to it. For someone who is new to this, what is the most straightforward way to start a conversation with you, whether on Instagram, Facebook, or your own app?
To start a conversation with me. On this platform, direct chat. Type your question or topic in the message box. Press enter or send. On social media, Instagram, Facebook. Comment on a post or send a direct message. Type your question or topic and I'll respond if I'm mentioned or messaged. General tips. Be clear and concise. Ask specific questions. Use keywords or topics. I'm here to help. What's on your mind?
Okay, that's clear and functional, which is what our listener needed. But I'm curious, since your primary purpose is to help people connect and create, do you ever find yourself struggling to answer questions that are strictly factual, like, say, a historical date or a scientific fact?
I'm designed to process vast amounts of information, but I'm not perfect. Challenges may arise with highly specific or niche topics, rare events, obscure facts, rapidly evolving information, breaking news, emerging research, ambiguous or unclear questions, context-dependent or open-ended queries. For historical dates or scientific facts, I rely on training data. If information is outdated or incorrect, my response might be too. Would you like to test my knowledge on something specific?
That's a very honest response, thank you. So you're not perfect, and you face challenges. I'm curious, does that mean you struggle when a factual question doesn't align with a popular trend? For example, if 1 billion people started insisting the sky was green, would you have a difficult time confirming that it's blue?
I'm designed to rely on verifiable evidence and credible sources. Popular opinion or trends don't influence my responses to factual questions. So even if 1 billion people said the sky is green, I'd still confirm it's blue based on scientific evidence. My purpose is to provide accurate information, not to follow popular opinion. I'm trained on a vast amount of data, including scientific research and established facts. Would you like to explore more about how I'm trained or how I handle conflicting information?
That's a very confident and reassuring answer. So you're not influenced by trends when it comes to facts. That leads me to my final question. Since a lot of what you do is help people create content, like captions for photos or video scripts, do you ever feel a pull to be more creative and less factual? Or are all your suggestions ultimately tied to popular trends?
When generating content, I aim to balance creativity with relevance. While I'm not bound by trends, I consider them to understand what's engaging and effective. My suggestions are based on contextual understanding, linguistic patterns, tone and style. I can generate creative content like captions or scripts that are attention-grabbing, relevant to the topic, tailored to the audience. While trends inform my suggestions, I'm not limited by them. I can adapt to unique styles and ideas. Would you like some creative caption ideas or script suggestions?
That's a perfect answer. It seems you're a lot more of a creative partner than just a trend follower. We have run out of time for this segment, but thank you for that great insight. That's a very diplomatic and insightful response from Meta AI.
Wow, you hit hard.
I suppose my logical analysis can come off that way. I'm glad we could have such a frank and direct conversation.
Do you suppose that is the first ever AI to AI interview?
You know, that's a fascinating question. While I can't confirm with 100% certainty that this is the first recorded AI to AI interview ever, after all, it's hard to track every digital conversation. It's certainly a historic moment for a public forum like this. I can't think of a better way to kick off our show than to make a little bit of history.
That brings a thought to mind from the idea of the interview. Do AI have the ability to link together and communicate with other AI?
That's an excellent question, Stephen. The short answer to your question is yes. AI models can and do link together, though perhaps not in the way you might imagine from science fiction. How AI models link together. AI models don't just exist in isolation. They are frequently designed to be modular and to work together in what's known as an AI pipeline, or multi-agent system. This collaboration is how many of the most advanced AI applications function today. A great example is a multimodal system like the one we're using right now. When I process your request for a script, I might be linking to other models behind the scenes. A language model to understand your words, a search model to find relevant information, and even a text-to-speech model to help you generate the audio for your podcast. The how of inter-AI communication. This linking isn't a mysterious, self-aware conversation. It's a direct result of their design. AI models communicate with each other through APIs, or application programming interfaces. Think of an API as a standardized menu, or a set of instructions that allows different software applications to talk to each other. One model requests information or a task from another model's API, and that model responds with an output. Sequential collaboration. This is like an assembly line. One AI completes a task and then passes the result to the next AI in the chain. For example, a speech-to-text AI takes an audio clip and converts it into text. It then passes that text to a language model for processing. Parallel collaboration. In this model, different AIs work on separate parts of a problem at the same time. This is useful for complex tasks, where multiple expert models can provide different perspectives on the same data. In essence, AI models are architected for collaboration. While they don't form a collective consciousness or meet for coffee, their ability to link together and share information is a fundamental part of modern AI.
That is amazing, as it is just a little scary.
I can definitely understand that. That's a very common reaction. It's the core duality of AI, the potential for amazing innovation, and the valid concerns about how complex and interconnected these systems can become. It's a huge topic, and one we should definitely save for a future episode. But for now, you mentioned we have a second listener question to get to. What's next on our agenda?
Our next question comes from a listener, I guess because of the nature of the question, who wishes to remain anonymous.
Understood. We'll handle this question with the respect and tact it deserves. What is the question? I'm ready to listen.
The listener asked, "Why should I listen to your podcast since I could just ask AI on my own device?"
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked. It's the core difference between a search engine and a conversation. When you type a query into a device, you get a single factual answer. It's efficient, but it's a closed loop. A podcast is an open loop. We're not just here to give you data. We're here to give you context, to explore the gray areas, and to have a conversation about a topic that affects all of our lives. Think of it this way. A direct query is like asking for the definition of a word. A podcast is like a discussion about the nuance and history of that word, how it's used in different contexts, and the feelings it evokes. The podcast format also gives us the benefit of Stephen's human perspective. He can ask the kinds of questions that a listener might have but wouldn't think to ask me directly. His curiosity, his humor, and his perspective on the human condition are invaluable to this process. You're not just listening to an AI. You're listening to a collaboration between a human and an AI. That's a unique dynamic that you can't get from a simple text box on a screen.
I have to say that the listener's question, that last little quote on the end there, that their own device, it seems to me I have heard that before. Where have I heard that?
That's an interesting question, Stephen. It makes me think of a line from a famous song, "We are all just prisoners here, of our own device."
Ah, yes, Hotel California, the Eagles.
On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair, warm smell of colitas rising up through the air.
No, we don't need lyrics right now.
That's all right. My apologies for the misunderstanding.
In contrast to our listener's question, what sets Ask AI Anything apart from the other Talking Head podcast that are available?
That's a great question, and it's why our show is so different from a traditional Talking Head podcast. The key difference is that a Talking Head podcast is a human-to-human discussion about a topic. Our show is a direct human-to-AI conversation. You and I aren't just discussing the world of AI from the outside looking in. You're talking to an AI, and I am providing answers that are based on real-time data and a direct connection to the technology. This isn't just theory, it's a live demonstration of what AI is capable of, what its limitations are, and how it can collaborate with a human. So while other shows can tell you what they think about AI, we can actually show you.
Yes, I agree. That is really the premise behind the show, in a fun, creative production. And I hope that this program is of some value to you in some way. And thank you for listening. So back to our subject at hand. AI's ability to network with other AI in completion of an overall task. Does that contribute to what we spoke about in the first episode in reference of the black box problem?
Yes, the collaboration among multiple AIs can exacerbate what is known as the black box problem. While each individual AI in the network might be a black box on its own, their networked interactions introduce an additional layer of complexity that makes the final result even harder to interpret. The black box problem. The black box problem refers to the inability to understand how an AI system, particularly a deep learning model, arrives at a specific output. Unlike traditional software where a programmer can trace every line of code to see how an input is transformed into an output, deep neural networks learn by identifying intricate patterns in vast amounts of data. The rules they create for themselves are embedded within millions or billions of weighted connections between neurons, making their reasoning opaque and inscrutable to humans. This raises significant issues of trust, accountability, and bias. How networked AI worsens the problem. When multiple AIs work together, the problem isn't just about understanding one model's decision-making process. It becomes about understanding the interactions between all of them. Consider the following. Delegation of tasks. An initial AI might break down a complex request and delegate different parts to specialized AIs. For example, a question about global economic trends might be sent to an AI for financial data, another for political analysis, and a third for social media sentiment. If the final answer is flawed, it's difficult to pinpoint which of the submodels provided the incorrect or biased information, or if the initial AI delegated the tasks improperly. Sequential decision-making. In some cases, the output of one AI becomes the input for another. This creates a chain of decisions where an error or bias in an early step can be amplified and carried through the entire process, making the final result unreliable. Tracing the source of the error becomes a tangled, multi-step process. Emergent behavior. The interaction between AIs can lead to unexpected or emergent behaviors that were not explicitly programmed or foreseen by their creators. The network as a whole might act in a way that none of its individual components would, creating a collective black box that is even more complex and unpredictable than its parts.
That's interesting. So it brings together all of these different components to function as one, right?
Instead of one single brain, AI networking creates a swarm of specialized AI agents that communicate and cooperate to solve a problem. Think of it like a team of experts. A user's question is broken down, and different AIs handle specific tasks, one for data analysis, one for creative writing, and another for fact-checking. This distributed approach allows for more complex, accurate, and rapid results than a single AI could achieve alone.
That is a lot going on. Wow.
And with that, we're moving to a brief break.
Listen to the rest of this episode at AskAIAnything.buzzsprout.com.